Right, Alan Quinlan's with us. Alan, how are you?
Very good, thanks, yeah.
That was pretty good.
It was unbelievable to be honest. Given everything that went wrong, I think that's going to be... I just think the composure and character this side is an example to anyone in sport. I love the fact of Farrell saying they're laughing and joking inside. Well, they weren't like... They were kind of laughing at the craziness, I think, of everything that was going wrong around the injuries. Ireland were still 8-7 up at half time. People forget that. And Scotland were always going to come at them. I think there was loads of kind of hairy moments that are really important for sports people. You'll know this, Kenny, as well. If you're under the pump, that's the time where you need kind of wise heads, control, composure, big moment.
And something to go your way.
Yeah, and like when things are going wrong, you lose Doris. It's a blow. Jack Conan comes on, brilliant, great player to come on. Then Henderson is gone. Then Sheehan was gone next. Your hooker, you think, right, Ronan Kelleher, brilliant replacement to come on, and then Henderson goes, and you're going, Jesus, this is getting crazy because, it's
Peter Marty's going to have to play the full game, and
you don't usually see, don't usually see that, like. Big players will get injured in big matches in sporting teams, but for that to happen, and then you have the Ronan Kelleher having to go as well, and what happened with Josh van der Fleer having to throw the ball, Cian Healy coming in at hooker, which is really important to clarify. I think most people realise now that, if you go back to the Italy game last year in the Aviva, Italy had nominated their prop as a hooker. So when he comes on, after the first hooker got injured, the second guy sent off, they've got to bring on a front row. He's not nominated as a hooker, so they have to go to uncontested scrums and take a player off.
So they went down to 13 men.
So on the team sheet yesterday, Cian Healy's name would have been down as a hooker, replacement hooker as well, extra cover. So that's why he can come on, do that job. It's just crazy. I thought now in that second half when you see Josh van der Fleer going to take the first throw in the line out and Ronan Kelleher still on the field, this wasn't like some new trick that Andy Farrell is up his sleeve. There's trouble here. They were buying a little bit of time because I think Cian Healy was doing some stuff with John Fogarty, which he said after the game, trying to get his head around what he had to do and a couple of reminders. But it was sensational, to be honest, and it's right up there with one of the best wins ever.
Healy actually gives away, is it a free kick when he doesn't, and Bernard Jackman's writing about this again today.
They're creeping a little bit in that scrum.
Well, there's like you have to put your foot forward, and then he's like, oh yeah, it's just I've got a million different things to do. This is not unconscious. I have to be totally conscious. Like, okay, the whole of the lads on either side of me here, and they're going to start. It's like an incredible feat of physical achievement for Healy to be doing this, and it also means now Cian Healy's not just going to the World Cup, he's going to be in most matchday squads and the big games for us, right? Because this could happen again.
Yeah, and that's, you can't have every eventuality covered. I'm thinking a lot of teams, and particularly after that Italian game, teams have kind of worked on this and made sure you can imagine 2 of your hookers gone and then a guy used to come off the field, on the field, and it comes uncontested and you have to take off one of your back rows, so it's another hammer blow. So it's very important that and I'm sure lots of the modern rugby teams at the top level will have that covered off, but it's unbelievable really. I can't say enough about this team. I know we'll still get it back in our faces probably at the World Cup,
well, whatever,
but I just can't genuinely, and you go back to 19 and it was all over the shop at times there when we were very much wondering where is the form of 2018 gone. This team have just grown. They've answered so many questions. So many things have kind of they've been tested, and the preparation for the World Cup for Andy Farrell has gone perfectly because there's lots of big players missing for these big games, and they've been able to cope, and it's a great sign of the team. Let's hope they can keep this momentum going forward.
Yeah, they need bodies back. There's a couple of issues, I suppose, in terms of the injuries. Farrell said that Ronan Kelleher's injury was a recurrence of the lack of power.
Big worry.
So that was
a problem he had, I think, with a nerve in his shoulder or neck.
Kind of heartbreaking for him because it looked like he was back, and
he looked in great condition and strength. So that is very worrying. So obviously you got through the match yesterday. You've 6 days to turn it around and play England. But there's a lot of
Henderson's gone, obviously.
Aside from the bangs and knocks that you will have from a very, very physical game like that, then you have these guys, a number of them ruled out. Gary Ringrose will be gone. Henderson will be gone.
Brian Baird comes in. Who goes to the bench on the back row?
Well, if you look at
the second row.
If you look at the second rows who were picked, it was Tyg Furlong, Ian Henderson, James Ryan, and Joe McCarthy. They were the 4 second rows that were picked. Joe McCarthy is gone with a broken foot. Furlong's gone, broken foot. Henderson's gone now, broken hand. We think it's a hand. So there's 1 second row standing from the original 4. That's James Ryan.
Burns gone, sorry, yeah.
Ryan Baird was in the squad.
Yeah.
He was in as a back row. So Ryan Baird obviously will start. I think Treadwell is probably the one who was involved last year. But this is a chat I was having last night with someone, is who's next in line. I think... Can you name the next second row?
Not really at this stage.
Jean Klein for me should be called up, and I don't know, maybe we'll hear something today, but he's been playing exceptionally well with Munster consistently for the last 4 or 5 months. He's faced, battle hardened. I'm not saying he should come into the match day 23, but they need extra bodies in.
He probably is.
But if you look at the other provinces, who else comes in there?
Maloney, but they obviously haven't.
Maloney,
They haven't given him an opportunity.
Maybe he will come in as well. They could bring in 2 or 3 of them.
I guess what you do is you bring everybody in now for the next week and a half and see.
Yeah.
Close. There's a good chance we might need one of them for the World Cup. You'd hope that it's a pity Joe McCarthy, obviously.
He would have been probably next in line to go onto the bench, but he may put 2 back rowers on the bench. Who knows? I don't know, but. Hopefully Killen Doris will come back. I think that England is still going to be a very tricky game for him, even though they were desperate on Saturday against France. But I think the mental side of this isn't a one-off either, Ger, that they've had adversity and they've been under pressure.
I did want to talk to you about this, right? Andy Farrell brought up the bus journey during the week. We've talked about this famous bus journey to the Scotland game a couple of years ago under Joe Schmidt, and you were like, no, it matters, this stuff matters. And Andy Farrell's like, yeah, when that happens to us, we revel in it. We get changed on the bus and we get ready to go. And he started the game against Wigan. I was making the case that Andy Farrell at the moment is like, his performance is a genuine world-class coaching performance that is as good as anything we've ever seen in Irish
You can
sports.
imagine, Ger, if you create an environment where you're literally kind of downplaying stuff that goes wrong and saying, look lads, it doesn't matter,
or enjoying it,
and kind of embracing it and using it, flipping it over and saying, isn't it great, sit back lads in the bus, relax, it doesn't matter if they're going to have to wait for us, they can't start the match without us.
We'll get warmed up there, lads.
I was just saying that if I heard that from my head coach, I would go, do you know what, let go of all the tension. If nobody's saying nothing and the bus is
Whereas
stuck,
if you're standing at the front of the bus, you're going, what the hell's going on? It's like, I'm just saying.
I don't think Joe was standing up in the bus. But he was probably
he's definitely not happy.
Going in and out and talking to the liaison guy that was there.
I just thought it was interesting that he literally...
Hindsight's a great thing, isn't it? So when it happens once, you have the ability to say, lads, do you know what? We let go of these kind of negative things. I don't know what you think if you were in the bus and you've all your prep done. I like being on time and being for that situation. And
I just think it's interesting the difference.
But once you're not on time, though, isn't it? That's
current head coach and the former head coach. The current head coach sees those things as like, it's an opportunity for us to prove ourselves again. The last one was so in.
Well, Jack Cohen said it. He said that he more or less said that the coach said, look, if we turn up 10 minutes before kickoff, we'll just go out and do our job as normal, and like we'll deal with that. So like they're getting lots of opportunities to bank these setbacks. They've certain players have stepped up against Wales, against France. We're missing a lot of big players there, and they stepped up. So the depth has increased. The second row depth now is going to be really tested, and that's an issue and a problem. But I think mentally they're in a good place.
Can we get carried away with this team? Ordinarily, if we're going to,
I don't.
Yes.
Yeah, we should do. We should do.
But ordinarily, as an Irish nation, we don't get excited because in a World Cup year, we don't want to win the Grand Slam, do we? The pressure.
I've changed my mind on that now. Now I want to win it.
I hope so.
Let's fucking
I do
win
think. Sorry, we should talk about France, and we will. We don't have a lot of time.
If you asked me, Shane, at the start of the season, would it be good for us to have a few poor performances? Even in November, I thought it was good that we beat South Africa we were poor against Fiji, poor against Australia. And I thought even Australia probably should have won us. Would have been the worst result? No, it wouldn't. It would have been a bit of a reality
What if
check.
we beat France by the score that they beat them by, or beat England by the score France beat them by? Is there's an element then of Jesus where?
No, I don't think so. I think they're comfortable with dealing with being rated the best team in the world. And I think it's only now that people are really saying, wow, to be fair. So I think we should celebrate it. We'll keep saying the point that no matter what happens, it's most probably going to come down to one performance that you need to have a 9 out of 10 performance to win a quarter-final at the World Cup against either New Zealand or France. Given that's if we come out of the group. Scotland are still going to be tricky. So no matter what they do, so should they kind of go, well, we'll lose a few matches and we'll play this down, we'll keep it low-key, we'll go in underdogs. I think they should embrace this, and I think they are embracing it. They're embracing it in a very humble way as well. They're not being cocky. They're not like, we're just going to turn up because we were brilliant last week. They had to dig yesterday so hard at times against a very good Scottish side, a different Scottish team, and that's not patronising to them. They'll still be very dangerous at the World Cup. I just think, you look at the way they stretched France, Scotland in Paris, could have won that game. They beat England. Okay, we're looking at England now, and maybe they're poor, but they demolished Wales in Edinburgh. So they're a different Scottish side. And given all the players that went off yesterday, now they lost Richie Gray
straight away, and
one player, but I just thought this team are very mentally. They're mentally in a strong. And they're quite humble as well.
Shouldn't we get carried away? Isn't that the whole point?
Live in the moment. Live in the moment, Ger. Let's live in the moment.
Come on, let's be having.
Just think of the other side of the group.
Have you come around, Ger?
We're still in form, and the World Cup is the next thing that's going to happen. Really, no matches matter between obviously next week, and then there's no international matches of meaningful consequence in the warm-ups. So that's it now. We're in form going into a World Cup. It's good.
Yeah, it is.
It's hard to say negative in that. It's hard to say negative in that.
The French situation where they obviously got a short, sharp shock from us, and then again from Scotland. But their form is back now, and their best players.
Yeah, they were sensational on Saturday. And look, that's always going to be the case in France. They will rightly be the favourites for the World Cup.
Yeah.
And
so we want them to hammer the All Blacks, and then us play the All Blacks in the quarterfinals. If you were to pick a path, we have months to do that. In the past, you potentially talked about Edwin Adogbo being a flyer. He's just back from injury, coming back from injury in the next week or two.
Yeah, he hasn't played. Obviously,
so he needed to have played the whole way through.
It would have been if he had a run of matches from
September, October.
Yeah, and played most weeks with Munster. I know they had their breaks, obviously, in between the internationals. You couldn't rule him out of being called up and even to train with him, to learn. Obviously there's a fair bit to learn. In this at that level and all the finer details that you've got to get right. But yeah, he's too young for that. Like someone like John Klein, I think, has improved, as I said, a lot. There'll be a few comments afterwards about this and John Klein in the World Cup, but if you watch what he's been doing the last few months, his skills have improved. I think he's offloading the ball, he's passing, but he's a perfect guy who will just hit rucks all day for you, make carries, very physical, and is super fit at the moment, and I think if you were picking the next in line.
All right, well, everybody that has gone into the Ireland squad has got better. Everybody.
Yeah, he's improved a lot as well. I think it's been better coaching that he's getting now around his detail and what he has to do. And I think that's one. We're talking about the players a lot here. I think we're blessed with the coaches which Ireland have at the moment. They continuously, and I know when you're winning, and you know this, Kenny. If you're winning and the buzz is good, everyone's going to be patting everyone on the back, but. What Farrell has done is remarkable. I think he's created a real positive environment that he nearly enjoys. And I know we keep mentioning this. He was like that as a player. He was just this fella the type of fellow who would just turn up, throw a pair of boots at him, and he would go out and just do what he had to do. He in a relaxed manner, but a fury with it.
Yeah.
He's created an environment where these guys are just very happy in themselves. He's very humble in a sense that he knows sport inside out, that you can get your backside handed to you the week after if you don't have your head right. I think he's got a brilliant balance in that. the Irish forwards, again, James Ryan is talking about, because I get criticised for being biased about Paul O'Connell. I know what O'Connell is like. Phenomenal attention to detail. What he's doing with those Irish forwards, and John Fogarty and Mike Catt and Easterby as well. But I know the finer details about defending mauls, your body position at breakdowns, your clean-outs, all that stuff. Paul has taken this team to, a different level. And look, James Ryan is coming out talking about that. Okay, he's asked a question about the forwards coach, but you can see so many small intricate things about what they're doing and the way they're executing and delivering ball and stuff like that. So it's good at the moment, but I'll be still half glass, half empty come the World Cup, and so nervous, and the players still in me that, I'd love if we were on the other side of the draw.
Look, if we're on the other side of the draw,
it's crazy.
We'd be counting our chickens on the other side of the draw.
Wales, England on the other side, Australia, but look.
Like Wales and England.
Australia could come good at the World Cup now, to be fair.
It's Australia, Argentina from that side, right? Can Argentina come out on that side?
Yeah.
I mean, that's Wales and England aren't coming out of that. England, like we were talking about it earlier, coming out and apologising afterwards. You're like, oh my God. What's going on?
Incredible.
Would this have happened if they'd kept Eddie Jones?
I think it was coming. Yeah, it was definitely coming. They were unhappy. An awful lot of players talking about the way he was talking to people and the regime and all that. And you know what? That got him to a point of, again, when things are going well and you have this kind of strict regime and everyone says, well, it's working, we're winning, the added bonus of performance is there. But when things start to unravel a little bit and you've the coach keeping the players out doing contact for an hour and a half and long training sessions and people are nervous and fearful of the head coach, and I've no doubt Eddie Jones is actually, for all the kind of chat he would have pre-match and post-match, and he's actually a really nice fella to meet and have a chat, but I think he kind of coaches one way in a sense that, it's all about, there is a bit of fear involved there, and sometimes people, they weren't enjoying it because, player power is massive. You probably see it's certainly evident, Kenny, in the Premier League if the players turn on the coach, and I think there was a bit of that happening. Obviously the results weren't going well. It was a pity the way it ended, but I thought they needed to change. I think Steve Borthwick, Nick Evans, Kevin Sinfield, these guys, they need time. There's actually a very good core group of English players, and there's a lot of quality there. But I think they're miles off knowing we're talking about Ireland's detail and the small things. They're miles off being really cohesive. Will they come to Dublin and smash Ireland on Saturday? Absolutely. They'll make it really difficult, and their line speed will be very, very quick, and they'll be getting stuck into Ireland. They could unsettle them. They're very much capable of doing that. But they need time, they need time to coach and implement an attacking kind of structure. But they were dreadful on Saturday. France just blew them away with everything, every part of the game. And to be in Twickenham and just kind of see English fans leaving there, very, very there was a good bit left in the game and they were leaving.
Booze at half
time. They were humiliated, and they're a very poor side at the moment. Will they get better? Yes.
I feel really sorry for them. It's terrible.
Stay humble, remember.
Not the England game. No, we don't need to be humble about this.
No, but hold on. Like, is there an argument so that the occasion this weekend gets to the players? Because Paddy's weekend, England, I mean, the last two Grand Slams have been.
We're going to hammer them
away from winning the Grand Slam at home.
We've just been talking about why it won't get to them. We've just been talking about why it won't.
Do you know what Andy Farrell probably said to the Irish players this week? If we lose on Saturday,
what odds?
The end of the world. Sure, who cares? We'll get up Sunday. We'll just go out and do our best. And honestly, that's kind of the messages you're getting back here. Of course, it's big, and I think the players will realise they weren't just kind of given that talk yesterday that England are going to turn up. Like, if I'm a player there, I'm thinking straight away, what would you do if you're an English player on Saturday and you're going to Dublin? We've spoiled their party a few times going for Grand Slam.
They're fragile. They are. Initial period when you come out onto the game for them, 10 first, 10, 15 minutes. But I think very quickly, for the reasons you've said in terms of the
quality comes out after a while.
They have, they'll get a
like
sense of that very quick.
That's what it's going to be like.
The quality comes out, but
you're going to hammer them.
You see, the other thing that hasn't really happened to Ireland is performances dip to a really low level, which is potentially can happen. A team that's winning matches, you lose form.
But that's mentality, really. That's a mentality shift when that kind of performance level drops, really, Alan, isn't it? Which you can't see.
Probably,
can you?
yeah. They're in a good place, and they seem to have all the boxes covered that this could happen, and it's making them avoid that. So look, I think they've been.
So there could be an early red card for an Irish player. There's been no yellow cards all tournament, so it would be a bit of a freak. We didn't even get into the refereeing performance yesterday, and I know you got to go. But next Monday, you're going to do the performance rankings with us.
Yes.
Just screen.
Well, on Liverpool, Liverpool going to get mentioned.
We should get carried. Andy Dunn said last week, 10 to 15 points. We're going to beat the Scots. We're going to do them, and we did. 15 points.
Yeah.
Let's get carried away for this weekend as well.
Yeah.
Go on.
And,
did he say?
And Shane texted me then on Saturday on my way to Twickenham. Bournemouth 1, Liverpool 0.
No, it was just it was a photo. It was a photo of a can of 7-Up cherry. Because
fair play. I have to take it. We have to take it back in the chain after last Monday. I gave me a kind of 7-Up last Monday.
Yeah. Everybody's going to remember the 7-0 literally forever. It is a forever result. That 1-0 defeat doesn't matter.
This is coming from a Villa fan now, so it's not coming from me. There's no bitterness here. Thanks, Shane.
No.
24 minutes past 8.
They'll always remember it.
Villa on the charge.
Phil Thompson's up next. Andy Farrell and Johnny Sexton here reflecting on Ireland's win. Thanks, Quinlan.